All right, today I'm using QB64 Phoenix Edition version 3.11 and just to make sure, yeah, 3.11.0. And what's so special about this version, or I think it was 3.10, the previous version that I introduced was the embed function. So we can see here that we have $embed and underscore embedded $. And with these two functions, we can basically include images, sound, fonts as part of the executable. So this solves a big problem that just before these versions, you had to implement yourself. So that means you had to create your own uh, packaging format and figure a way to attaching it to the executable or have it as a separate file. Uh, but that looked a little messy, especially if you had a lot of files, a lot of images. And so what this does, it solves that problem. So instead of having lots of files in your main program directory, you can just have one EXE now and everything can be attached to the executable. Now, this might have been a problem before with DOS where the executable could only be a certain size, but with 64-bit Windows EXEs or Linux, you could pretty much put anything in the EXE and unless it unless it's some kind of resource heavy file, it shouldn't be a real problem. So for most case use, it should be just fine. Now, what I've done is just modified the sample program that shows you how to use the embed function, and I added another file. So this is just a text file, just to show you, simplify how things actually work. So with the images, we specified the location where uh, you saved your image. In this case, we have a couple of ping files, and I've saved them in the subfolder images of my app. So let's just bring up a File Explorer, and I'll bring it into view here. So this is not the right one. So this is a 391. That's an older version. Let's go and find 311. So here's 311, and I'll go into it. And so there's the folder where I've been saving the images. So if we click in there, we can see we have these two images. And I'm going to pull it away. And so we give them basically a handle that we can access at runtime. So we will not be using the file name. This is just to specify where to include it, and this is the handle we're going to use. And this matches up with this right here. So using the load image command, if we specify this handle, it will load the image and this line will display it. And basically these are just parameters. It'll be 32-bit in memory. So that's what we want. And so I'm just going to run this just to demonstrate it actually works. And if we look over here, here's the two images, and we have some text here. I'll go over the text in just a second. So if we look here, this is where we're printing the text, and it matches up with what I created in Notepad here. Let me bring up Notepad. And so I have some text here. Let's put some more information. Second, let's put third line, and save it. So it'll save it in this location right here. And now if we run our program, I'm going to demonstrate this. There's a slight bug. Um, and if we look at the output, it's still saying the same things as before. And that's because we didn't modify any of the code here. So that's one of the flaws in this method, that if your code remains the same, the compiler will not actually compile another version with the new information. And this includes the images as well. So if you're updating your images and not modifying the code, you will not see the updated images. So I'll demonstrate that as well. Let me just bring up the image editor. So I'm just going to change the color here. I'm going to paint this, let's paint it pink and save. So same location. And let's just make sure. Yep, it saved it. Okay, put this out of the way. And let's run it again. And we don't see any changes again. But if I just make any kind of change to the code, it'll force the compiler to uh, recompile and include the new image and new text. So if we look now, we have an updated image and updated text information. Now, another thing you may notice is like, why the extra line in between here? And that's simply because I'm using Windows and I'm using Notepad, and it's inserting carriage line feed at the end of the line. We could use another program like Notepad++, and let me just open that sample text file. And if you notice here, because I have the show all characters selected. So if we don't do that, you don't see that. But if we do this, you can see that there's a character return and a line feed. Now, QB64 interprets like it doesn't need both of them, but if it sees them, it will do exactly as that. So it's doing a carriage return and a line feed, which results in the extra space there. Now, if we want to get rid of that, um, you can't do it in Notepad, but in Notepad++, you can do, where is it? End of line conversion. So if we choose either Unix or Macintosh, let's use Unix first. It gets rid of the carriage return, and let's save it. And let's see if that solves our problem. So I'm just gonna insert a space here that forces to recompile again. And here's the new output. There's no additional line. Now let's do this again, but just to prove that actually works, go back to end of line conversion, and let's switch to Macintosh this time. So we have the carriage return. Let's save it. Uh, let's save it. And insert a space in here that way to compile again. And there we go, it does the same thing. So no extra lines. So if you don't want the extra lines, use Notepad++ or some kind of editor that allows you to control the carriage return and line feed. But the important thing here is that I wanted to show that you can use any kind of file to include, not just images and sound and fonts, but basically anything. So if you wanted to create some kind of level in a level editor, you can do that and include it. Uh, and besides just using it directly this way, you could also just, if you, let's go to the top here and do this. Let's call it my text. And we can do my text equals, and we can print my text. So this does exactly the same thing, but now we have that data stored into my text variable, and we can modify that my text variable to do anything else that we want. So if we wanted to attach even more text, we could put, let's try this. All right. And so there we go. So we've modified what was included with that text file. We added hello at the end of it. And so this, again, this is just a demonstration. You could process it, extract information, and do all kinds of things. I'm just using a text file as an example because it's the simplest thing to demonstrate. So I think that's it. I think I've gone over this several times. So thanks for watching, and that's it for this video.